We are ready.
We
So
are
excited.
ready.
Hey, MW. My name is Melissa.
And my name is Stephanie Carcache, and we are two sisters and the founders of Millennial Women.
And your host of Millennial Women Talk, the podcast. We are so grateful you're sharing your time with us today.
By tuning into this episode, you are investing in becoming the best version of you, and we are just thrilled to be on this journey together.
This episode of Millennial Women Talk is powered by Switcher Studio, a powerful broadcasting tool with zero turnaround time. Today, we're going to be talking about how to be an independent and self-sufficient creator and how all you really need are two things, and that is an iPhone, or two iPhones, because we're using both of ours, and Switcher Studio. So let's dive into today's episode. I'm so excited about this.
So Mel, what do you think is the reason that is holding back so many creators out there right now that are just not creating?
I think, because I personally experienced this, or we both did together, I think it's lack of knowledge because they didn't do enough research to find tools like Switcher, right? I think, in the beginning when we first started Millennial Women Talk, it was just the podcast, right? Just the audio format of what we do. But a big dream was always to add video. I love video. And I know you guys love video because you're watching this video. But I really, really love video because it really gives the audience sort of like a door opening into the world, right? Whether it's to this beautiful home, right? Here, our set, or meeting our guests. It's just so many great things the connection. That's what I really, really love. And Switcher was able to help us do that. So I feel like nowadays there's really no excuse to make good content. We have easy tools like this.
And I think, for us in the beginning, and I definitely was like this, I would come up with every excuse in the book to not create content because I'm a perfectionist, right? Or like, I don't have a team. I don't have the right cameras. I can't afford that camera. I can't afford that piece of equipment. So you keep on pushing it back and you keep on pushing it back. And then you don't end up doing it, right? But then you insert Melissa with her queen of Google searching, and she finds something like Switcher, and she comes up and is like, listen, there's no more excuses because with this app, with Switcher Studio, all you need is your phone.
Yeah. Which we all have some sort of iPhone or Android or some device or an iPad. And that's what the beauty of it is. So you hit something on the nail, right? I think one of the things that held me back too was like, oh, we don't have that fancy camera. We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars for all this, equipment. And we literally have it in our pockets or in our purses, right? It's the tools that we use every single day. And that's what I love about it. And for us, it's been such a gift to bring you guys into the world of Millennial Women Talk and get to meet the incredible guests and really get to connect with us as sisters, as your hype sisters. And it's a tool that we also offer to our podcast students too, that have a dream to make video reality in their podcast as well.
Absolutely. And so another thing that I want to share with you, with everyone right now, is that out of the two of us, have
I know what you're going to say.
No production background, techie brain. That's not my brain at all. And so Mel does, right? Yeah. And so I kind of want you to talk about, because you've had the experience, you were on a Hallmark film, you were on, Nickelodeon, you were on actual, sets, and working with Switcher Studio. How was that for you? Because you did it, and then transitioning to something so user-friendly and so, in your hands. Everybody can get their hands on this. How was that like for you?
First of all, it's a lot of fun because once you get to the Switcher part on the iPad, it's so much fun because you get to really explore creatively how many great benefits it adds to your content, right? So we have lower thirds, we have our logos, we're cutting cameras, right? And the cameras are our phones. And it's like something you would see on television, right? And so that's what's really cool. It's like watching a broadcast on TV, but you can put it obviously on the internet and on other platforms that are really awesome. So I love how easy it is. I personally, we've used it, for our seasons, and we're using it today. And it's one of my favorite products ever. And I haven't tried, honestly, any other product but this one.
Because
it's my favorite.
You don't fix what's not broken, right?
Of course. It's so great. It's super great.
It's worked for us for quite some time. And, I felt excited because, you came from this production background and you were so hyped.
You were able to use
it.
So even Steph it's like what Steph said, she is not tech savvy. Sorry. You're just
no,
not.
I'm like self-proclaimed. It's not my thing.
But I will say Steph has a wonderful marketing and branding brain. I think she does way better Yeah, you definitely do way better in that department than me.
I'm like big picture.
Yeah.
I love,
You have to
marketing,
see the finished product.
branding. Well, I love the strategy to get to the finished product,
Right.
and how branding and marketing and the psychology of it all, like all that, it really excites me.
Yeah.
And what really made me like, whoa, Switcher Studios on another level, is that you're able to incorporate branding and marketing
Right.
within the content. So you can add logos, you can do lower thirds. I mean, you could do so much, right,
So
Mel?
many things. I'm like obsessed with it. And you can even add like all this different beer, which we did at the opening of the episode. So really, really cool things to help you be creative.
Mm-hmm.
But from a branding and marketing perspective, Steph, like when you see that final product or as a consumer and you're watching the
Yes.
product, like, isn't it nice that you're able to get those glimpses of B-roll
Absolutely.
or, which I should put definitions somewhere, but
Yes.
B-roll basically, it's like, this is not B-roll. This is like the live content. B-roll is
Right.
what you saw at the beginning. We should
Right.
teach people this too, you know?
Let's do it. This
Yeah.
is why we do what we do.
Yes. But I think, it's important, to be able to, as a marketing brain, to see
Right.
the overall product.
Absolutely.
Like, what was
And-
important for you for us to cover on the show?
Well, definitely it was the logos, right? Because I think that,
Branding,
when
yeah.
you're thinking about branding, it's the logo,
Yeah.
and that's what sticks to people. And so being able to have that incorporated into the content, and so easy, right? It's not like you have to shoot the content, send it out to an editor, then send him the files of the logo and all that, or her, the logos.
Right,
and
it's done in-house.
It's just
in the
done
app.
in the app, and everything is so just at your fingertips, literally.
Yeah.
And so, it's great for marketing, branding, and all of that good stuff. And, I've mentioned this to you personally a lot, and I want to mention it to you right now. The best thing about Switcher that I feel is that it just left no more room for excuses.
Yes. How many times do you put an excuse as to
Yep.
why you can't do something in life? I can't do it because I
Exactly.
don't have this. I can't do it because I don't have that.
Right. It just left no room
No
for it
room.
because
Yeah.
everything is on there already. So if you're not doing it, you have to address that problem. Why aren't you doing it? And all that stuff. But there's no excuse to not create with an app like Switcher Studio.
Well, I want to talk about why being a creator in 2021 and beyond is so crucial, right? We've had endless conversations about where media is heading, and especially after 2020, I think there was a huge shift. And I have so much
Absolutely.
to say about this.
Oh
But,
my gosh, go for it.
but I definitely want to collaborate because,
Yeah.
coming from a traditional like TV film background, I
Right.
see like the internet, like social media, YouTube to be the new TV and film, right?
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people challenge my thoughts on this. I'm not saying it's going to go away. It might, but I do believe like there's just so many new things that are out there and people are consuming differently.
Yeah.
It's that how do we provide like high quality content for people?
Mhm.
For us, it's always about the intention of what we're creating. So for us, it's
Right.
the podcast, right? And every single person that we interview and even the episodes that we create together is intentionally created. There's
And
always
the
a
brands that we work together with as
100%,
Everything
which
is
we always
intentional.
talk about. Yes. The intention has to be right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, then we're like, okay, how do we bring this in a high quality content, high quality content to the consumer
Right.
where they're enjoying what we've created and at the same time it's high level, right?
Yes.
So like good lighting is always a must, right? Obviously, we love natural lighting. We're in a studio setting now, but it could be studio lights, it could be ring lights, it could be natural lights, so many good options, but lighting is always key for your content. Good audio always,
Yes.
right? What else would you say makes like a good
Great
piece of content?
I think you're really hitting it on the nail. You're saying intention. You're saying
I mean, that's
lighting.
number one. That's like the
Yeah.
foundation.
You're saying lighting.
Good audio.
Good audio.
Yeah.
I think
You don't need a good camera because you have an iPhone.
Mel, this is why like having a sister is fantastic, but you just really hit it on the nail. That's
Yeah.
really what you need. And you also need like the commitment part. So like the commitment to just do. Like we have something between
Consistency.
us
Yeah.
that it's just done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Because as creators, we're just always so caught up in the perfection of it. And perfection is so subjective. So what's perfect to
I
you
know.
is not perfect to somebody else. So you're never going to reach perfection. And so then you just end up not doing anything.
Yeah.
And then years go by. And then what really happened?
Mhm.
And so
That'd be
done
so
is better than
sad
perfect. It's the
for you not to get it
commitment.
out.
Yeah. It's the commitment to like done is better than perfect. Get it done. Just get it done.
Yeah, I love that. And it's really about consistency. I think something we've learned,
Yes.
I guess it's kind of recently, but I mean, we're consistent across the board, but it's like really saying like, this is, being a content creator. I think a lot of people, they kind of think that's not a real job, right? Like they kind of look down
Although
upon
it's
that.
changing, thank God, in 2021.
Yeah.
But for sure.
I mean, think about it, right? We watch the news and we've watched, what else? We watch all these TV shows and stuff like that. And that's content creation and they're all making a living off of it. So why is it that the difference is, oh, but you're on the internet? No.
Right.
We're all creating content and we have great resources like Switcher that provide very high level, very high quality content. So I think it's important for creators to also believe in themselves that they could make this a career because it's been done before, just in a different format, which is the television. Right? The phone is the new television.
The phone is the new television, and that's how people are consuming. So, and that's also what we're using to create. And so it really is all a gift, and it's all a matter of perspective. Like, how are you viewing these gifts and how are you using them?
Yes, it's so important to use your gifts that you already have, but at the same time, like, I always go back to intention. I think that was a big, when we first started the podcast, we were almost like, what do we want to talk about, right? Because millennial women is universal, right? But there is a type of millennial woman that would be interested in what we speak about, right? Because there are other pieces of content. You could talk about entrepreneurship, you could talk about, fitness and health, and we dabble on it. But at the end of the day, at the core value, we are, a podcast for millennial women looking to elevate their lives, mind, body, and soul, right? It's really about who you are, not necessarily what you do. And so every guest that we bring on to the show, we always like to get deep into their soul. Like, tell me how you felt when this happened. Like, your emotions at the moment. Because I think it's important to get to know that part because we always see the surface level, which is what you see now, right? It's like the hair and the makeup. You didn't see the preparation, the months and the weeks to get to this moment. And that will only last just a few days because we know. So I think it's important to get to the root of things.
And Mel, I also want you to share that with Switcher, you're mentioning that we do interviews. And that's something that we haven't mentioned that Switcher does as well.
I know you could bring on a guest, which is really neat. And I know there's other platforms that you can do, especially after 2020. Everybody has sort of put that in. But what I love about Switcher itself is that you can bring them in seamlessly. You don't need to download something else. Your guest doesn't need to go through this huge headache of downloading. Oh my gosh. It's, there's so many extra steps. This is a simple link and you're in.
I'm getting so like, oh my gosh, because I just want to continue saying all the amazing things that Switcher has to offer. So you can bring on a guest. What else can you do? You
can bring on a guest. You can remove the guest. You could do it like this.
You can edit.
Well, this is being edited in real time. So you're editing on, a Switcher essentially is an editing tool. It's just on an iPad and it's an app, right? It's not the really large, they used to be like these large pieces of equipment that were switchers. And that's what they use pretty much on big broadcasts. And now it's on this small device on your iPad or on your iPhone, and you're just doing editing and cutting in real time, which is really neat. You can go live on all platforms, which is really cool. We don't go live. We pre-record our stuff, even though this feels live because we're not, editing this.
But it's great, and it's something that we're considering to do, live streaming. It's amazing that Switcher Studio live streams directly to all of these
all the platforms.
YouTube,
LinkedIn, Facebook, even your website. Like, there's so many things. It's really neat. And even as course creators now, Steph and I, have our own podcast course. We're able to also stream to our students as well using this. So it's not just for podcasting in terms of a show. You can use this for work. You can use this for your courses. You can use this for live events. I've seen people like in football games, which is really neat. That it's just cool. Like, they're on the field, like broadcasting, and it's as if it was on TV, like any major network, which is really neat. It's super cool.
I love that. What's your favorite thing about Switcher Studio?
It's hard. You can't ask me that question. It's like asking me I don't have children yet, but it's like asking who my favorite child is. It's hard. It's like everything is so great. I think at the end of the day, it's really just about it's high quality, it's good content, and it's your audience would just be thrilled to watch it. They're impressed. I feel everybody's impressed.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
are you impressed?
Are you impressed?
I think it's just great.
I think it's awesome. I love how user-friendly it is. I love, like I already mentioned, it just leaves no room for excuses. I love when something like that is in your life because it just makes it so much easier. And I love the marketing and branding aspect that you're able to really just have it all literally in one place.
I would love to ask you, for like a new creator, it's, who has 0 followers, has never done this before. Like, from your perspective, what would you say to them?
Ooh, I say always establishing your why is number one before you do anything.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know why you're doing something, you're just going to fall off because there's no root. There's no seed that's planted, and your why really is that seed from which everything grows from. And when you have your why solidified, it doesn't matter what other people think or say, or maybe there's not people there in the beginning and you're just creating from your place of your why. And so I think that that's the most important thing for any beginner creator, is to establish your why. Really, really get that down. And I would also say it's commitment. It's like, sometimes it's like when you meet somebody, you're okay, I'm not going to commit to you for my whole life. We're not going to get married tomorrow, but you're going to commit to something. You're going to commit to investing in that person, right? Or whatever that may be for you. But in the aspect of creating content and becoming a content creator, commit to something. Commit to at least a time frame. Be practical with yourself, because I love, I have a bird for a soul. So I'm like all about winging it at times. But in my recent years, I have definitely applied practicality and just this logical common sense aspect to my life to balance that bird soul that I have. And so when it comes to practicality and just common sense, is what is that commitment as a time frame for you? All right, I'm going to commit to trying this out for 6 months. I'm going to commit to trying this out for the rest of my life. What is that for you? Right. And when you establish your why and you establish what is the commitment that you are going to make in this new endeavor, I think that's pretty solid. What do you say, Mel?
I love that. Look, at the end of the day, I think, and I do want you to just touch a little bit or expand about your why, because at least for me, like I heard that all the time. I was like, okay, establish my why, but how do I do that? Like, what are the first steps?
Because you always think generic. You're always like,
exactly.
Why? Because I love to do it.
I know, right.
But what is really that why?
So what are the tools? Like, how do we dissect it?
Oh, you just got to keep on questioning yourself.
But how? Like, what are the questions that you have to ask?
You just have to ask yourself. So,
like, what?
You got to ask yourself. So, okay, why? Because I love to do it. All right, why do you love to do it? Because it makes me feel free. Right. Oh, why does it make you feel free? Because I feel like I can express a certain aspect. Do you see how I'm already going down and down and down?
You're going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Exactly. And that's really the key. So, when we work with our students, and it's so funny now, I feel like we're in a master class. But
I mean, I do want to provide value. So.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, we're here for it. Yeah. Literally. It's really about getting down to the root, and until you really cannot ask any more questions, but you will also feel it in your soul when you get down to the root.
And I think it evolves, right? Would you say?
100%. And so that's something else that I want to share with creators. Who you are as a creator in 2021 can be completely different in 2022. And that is absolutely beautiful, welcomed, and absolutely normal. And it should be promoted more, because that just means you're evolving. And if you are not evolving, then what are you doing?
You're staying still. And you're staying stagnant. Absolutely. Which you don't want. Nobody wants to stay stagnant.
No, then you stop living, you stop growing.
You stop growing. I think that's the key to life. You have to grow, right? But I love that. And as you keep doing it, right? I love this, because it's like when we started Millennial Women, and we talk about this all the time. They would ask us, okay, so who's your audience, who's your niche? We're like, all the Millennial Women all over the world, right?
Billions
it's like,
of them.
I mean, it's impossible, right? It's like not every Millennial woman would, necessarily, fall in line or love the content we create, and that's fine, right? So not everybody's going to love the content you create, and that's okay. You're not going to win them all. One of the best pieces of advice I, got years ago was like, if you create content for everyone, you create content for no one. Yeah, and that's the truth. You do have to find a niche. Niches are important when creating content. And for us, we did develop that why, and it was going down that rabbit hole of, okay, but why this and why this and why this? Until we ultimately, it was like, okay, it's a woman who's looking to elevate her life, mind, body, and soul. And it took a while to get there.
I would love to know. So you put me on the spot. I want to put you on the spot.
Oh, God.
Sister.
Okay, I'm out.
No. Stay. What's your advice for any beginner creator out there, or just a creator in general?
Just honestly, I love the done it's better than perfect, because I'm such a perfectionist, and you know this, right? I was like, we don't have the cameras. We don't have the team. We don't have, and it was like, no, we just have to put it out there. There's a dream placed in our heart. There's a message we want to share. We have to do it, right? And we're in season 3 now, so we've evolved, and everything gets better with time, right?
And you can check on this.
Oh yeah, yeah. See the growth.
We have
Nothing
not
has been
removed
deleted.
anything, despite my efforts to. But she has not allowed us to, because it's true. It's like, you can see us and then be like, oh yeah, it must be nice. But if you don't see the growth for yourself, then you would never believe us. So I strongly, sadly, recommend go to the beginning episodes.
Go hear season 1 of Millennial Women Talk and then come back to us and say, okay, I see the growth, right?
Yes.
And I think that is the beauty of it. I think that if you never start now, like if you don't start now, you never will start. That's just the truth. You're going to continue to put it on. You're going to continue to find an excuse, and you're not going to do that. And it would be a shame if your message or your gift or your story is not put out just because you don't have the cameras. I mean, look in your pocket, look in your purse. You have it. It's there, and all these phones have really just become incredible tools for high quality content, and it's been great.
It has been great.
I love it. Okay, guys. Any last words for our awesome creators that are just getting started? Any send off wishes?
My wish for you is just to do. Stop thinking, stop dreaming, stop hoping, stop wishing. Just do it. And together with Switcher Studio.
Okay. I have to think about what I want to say to them, because I kind of feel like I just said everything to them. It really is about doing, but also believing in yourself. Our dad used to always say to us,
that's a good one, Mel.
Well, I thought about it actually this morning on the way here. I was like, man, Dad used to say this to us all the time. He was like, if you don't believe in yourself, who will?
Such a good one.
And it's true. And I think a lot of times, I would think to myself, I'm like, but my gosh, because I struggled a lot with believing in myself. I think all creators do. I feel like creators especially we're very in tune with our emotions, and we're very passionate. So I think going in tune with that, it already makes us a little bit vulnerable to what comes our way energetically from the outside world, right? Whether that be a person or something you see on social or any sort of noise. And I certainly struggled with that for many, many years. And even, I would say, sometimes to this day.
Absolutely.
Right?
Self-doubt kicks in all the time.
All the time. It's hard.
It is.
But I think that when you find your intention again and your why, right, which is what you touched on, it's true what they say. They're like, your why's, the reason why the why is so important is because that's what's going to drive you to the finish line. It's going to drive you to keep going and wake up every day. Because if you don't have a mission and a vision to follow, to try to accomplish, it's really hard to motivate yourself on your own.
Absolutely.
Right? And even we have each other, it's still hard because we are still individual people.
Right.
And even though I can tell Steph, go, we can do this, she has to believe in herself. And I think you struggled that just a little tiny bit.
100%.
I would say when we first started with the podcast.
When we first started, I was in such a low place.
I think you
super
felt like
low
you couldn't even do
self-esteem.
this.
Such a lack of confidence within myself, completely paralyzed. I really always use the word paralyzed because that's how I felt, because that is what self-doubt can do to you as a person, as an individual, and as a creator. Because you just mentioned something so powerful. We are so in tune with our emotions. That's the place that we create from. And so I love that you are offering that advice to them, because that is so helpful.
What did you do to overcome that, may I ask?
A lot of reflecting and a lot of accepting. I had to accept first that I was in this place, of low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-worth, all of that stuff. And once you accept, then you can start, building. And you can come to a place of ultimately loving yourself. When you fully accept something, you're like, all right, I accept it. Now I can actually show grace. And then eventually that evolved to just love.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, also journaling and really breaking down and figuring out those self-limiting beliefs, right? That it's
all
so
a part
crazy.
of the process of accepting.
Right.
What do you have to learn about yourself?
What was your
to
biggest
accept?
fear when we first started? What was your fear? What was holding you back when you first started?
So besides we don't have the right cameras, I'm not going to look right, all of the vain stuff.
The surface level things.
The surface level stuff. It was the lack of belief in what I had to say. It was the lack of belief in my voice. Did I say this correctly? I might have stuttered, because I was stuttering a lot in the beginning, and I still do, but now I just don't care.
Yeah, we just own it now.
Now I'm just oh my God, I spit all over myself like I'm a spritza, whatever. But yeah, it was, that was the hardest thing. It was really just believing that I actually did have something to say, and that people wanted to listen.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that's what I struggled with. What did you struggle with?
You know, I think it was production for sure, right? It was making sure everything, and even till this day, right? I still look around and it's just become like my, I don't know, my other instinct, I guess, of just like looking and seeing if everything's working fine.
You're so funny.
But you know, I think it was also holding on to the questions too. I remember like in the first
Ooh.
season, we would really hold on to those questions, and you know,
Oh my
when we
God.
switched to
Me,
saying,
I was a lot worse. Than
yeah, I
you.
was like holding on to the paper, like, okay, we're looking down and looking up, you know.
It was so awkward.
Yeah, it was awkward for the guests and really for us because we couldn't be present. And I think
Right.
that her and I were like, you know, we're not having fun at the end of the day, right? Because when you're not present and you're not enjoying what you're doing,
Right.
because this is fun, you know, you guys know being a content creator is fun.
Yeah.
Being present, we were like, okay, we have to be present, number one. And number two, if we just act on intention, we're good. We don't,
Yeah.
the questions are here, but we don't need them because we're acting off of intention. The intention is whatever that is for that episode, right?
Yes.
So our intention today with you guys is to provide value, you know, to be a resource for you, to make sure that not just from a technical level you're learning, but from, you know, it's just like a mindset level. Like, what is it that we can do? Because this is a mindset and a tech game, right? As being a content creator, you want to be able to always be on your A game all the time mentally, because it takes a lot out of you from a creative standpoint. So for me, it was like, okay, no, let's scratch this, like this safety net is what I felt like it was. And let's have fun. Let's be
Yeah.
present and let's do this thing.
That's great advice for creators. Create from intention. That's the key. When you know the intention behind the piece of content you are creating in that moment, there's freedom in that.
Oh yeah.
And you know,
And you feel that.
oh, I feel that.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous because I was the one, like, you say you were with the paper, at least you were like, look natural. I have the worst poker face. And I would just be like, so awkward. Oh my gosh.
The guest is always like, what's going on
Oh
over
my
there?
gosh, I was so awkward, and it was so Q&A, and the magic was missing. And so when we came to a place of, all right, this is the intention behind this. For us, we're podcasters. So this is the intention behind this podcast episode.
Right.
This is where we want to land the plane with this guest.
Always want to land the plane.
You always want to land the plane somewhere when you're creating content. What's the intention? What do you want the viewer or the listener to get from seeing this or hearing this? And once you know that, solidify that, then you can have a normal, regular conversation, or you can just go into creating natural, and you already have that in the back of your mind, like where you want to go with it. So there's freedom just as long as you get there. And then when you get there, it's time to wrap it up. So it's like, it feels good. There's a lot of freedom in knowing your intention.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun just doing this episode and hanging out with you. I love having these conversations because it gives even us a chance to reflect too and express ourselves. So we thank you for also allowing us to express ourselves in this episode and for sharing our passion for this, for Switcher Studios. It's really been a life-changing and been such a big addition and nice addition to our show and to our podcast, and we hope it is for you as well.
Yes. So we want to continue to encourage you to go out and get it as a creator, whatever it is that your heart is just, that you feel that in there. We want you to go after it. And we also want to thank you. Thank you so much for just going along the journey together with us and for being here right now, whether you're seeing us or hearing us. We appreciate you, and we are just so thankful, truly. And we always say it, to be on this journey together, because we are. And we also want to thank Switcher Studio for sponsoring this episode.
Yes. And listen, and thank you guys for tuning in again. You can actually get a free month of Switcher Studio by using the code Millennial30. All you have to do is visit switcherstudio.com to get started. And please give it a try. You guys are going to love it. And as always, we encourage you to continue on with the conversation.
Yes, and keep being the strong, amazing women that you are, and never forget to live inspired.
Until next time, MW.
Always love,
Melissa
and Stephanie Carcache.
That was so fun.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Good job, Sissy.
I love it. Good job. How did you feel?
It was awesome.
It was great, right?
It was really
I know.
fun. I
So
loved
much
it.
fun. Yay!
Loved it.